Alright, everybody, this is What If Deku was Toxin and Venom, Part 1. So, I kind of failed to mention a couple of things, but Venom and Toxin, when I said Deku put both of his hands onto their, on top of them, it was kind of a freaking, how do you say it? Kind of a mistake, because most of my most of my what ifs, except for God of War 1, Deku didn't have that much of a childhood, or Deku's childhood was pretty much normal as far as we can say. But I wanted to give Deku a harder childhood in this one, a much more sadder and devastating one. So what I did was have Deku go into have an accident in the woods when he was 6, a year later. And I also wanted him to lose sight of his vision in one eye. How's this going to work? Deku falls from a cliff. Not a very long cliff, but a cliff nonetheless. And he breaks his arm, and he got hit in the eye from rocks so badly that his eye is pretty much normal, but now it's whitish. He stayed in the... Well, he didn't stay. He basically wandered in the woods after his incident, and eventually he finds some people. Now, his arm is broken, and it's been infected for the whole time, so they need to amputate it. And they also gave him an eye patch. But here's the thing. Venom and Toxin know about this because of his mind, and they feel bad for him. So what I wanted to do was have Deku have his own kind of arm. A different arm. Basically what I mean is he's going to have a prosthetic arm. How does he get one? Well, David's shield has freaking prosthetic arms and legs, or any body parts for that matter, for heroes if they get hurt in the line of duty. So he sells this stuff. But they cost a lot. So that's why Deku can't buy one yet. And they're probably 75% of $1 million. Yeah, a lot. That's what I mean. So, Deku makes his own arm, which is basically a cadaver arm and kind of fused into with a freaking mannequin arm. So he cuts up some of the plastic and uses it so that way the arm won't get as wet, and pretty much strong enough so that way the plastic can just break, which is a perfect fusion of the wooden and plastic to do it. It takes a lot of glue and a lot of tape and pretty much a lot of leather to hold it in place. But he thinks about letting go of his prosthetic arm since it's already had its use, which it didn't move or anything because it wasn't electric. It's basically just an arm to have around if needed. But Deku puts it on his bed and says, "You told me that you can give me what's called power. Can you give me another arm and probably heal my blindness?" And they said, "Of course, we can't give you another arm, but we can technically give you or let you use an arm that we can make using our bodies." And Deku says, "Alright, so let's do it." And then they fuse to Veto, and they become his arm. But here's the thing. They can't move at all. Even though they're strong as Venom, or strong as Toxin, or even strong as Veto, they can't actually move the arm because they can move the other body parts because it has something to hold on to technically move on its own. But it's basically just air. Or it's basically nothing that they're holding on to. So their arm is basically not there. Or not that. It's basically their arm not moving around because it doesn't have anything to latch onto to move as like the host. So Deku thought, would using a prosthetic arm work? And they said probably. They tested out, and surely, well, it works actually. It does work. So his arm kind of looks like the one right there on the picture, but it's less creepy and it's more just used as color. But Deku in there, well, Deku just says, wow, this feels kind of weird. Because he can feel as well with this arm. And his eye is kind of like their eye. They can see through Deku's eye, and Deku can see through his eye. And he's kind of happy about this. Even though he doesn't have a new arm, he thinks, might as well. It doesn't actually hurt that much. And he just walks around school with a prosthetic arm, and they just think, oh, he probably got lucky enough to get one. And nobody actually cares, really. And Venom thinks, well, we could just eat the kids and, you know, pretty much say somebody kidnapped them. And Toxin says, are you nuts? Look, as much as I don't like these brats at all, they're still not doing anything technically bad. Elite from a human standpoint. But that's when he meets a certain type of... Well, he meets Earphone Jack. Or Jiro for short. Deku sees her. And she sees the album she's carrying in her backpack. But it drops on the floor. And somebody's about to step on it. And Deku, without thinking, just what's called, how do you say it? Uses Venom and Toxin's webs. And it shows a thin line. But it's kind of like how tripwires look like. Or it looks like metal wiring from a guitar. But it sticks onto the freaking thing. And he pulls it so fast that nobody actually sees what happened. Even if Deku freaking moves... If Deku is holding the disc, nobody actually saw him with the disc. But nobody saw him holding a disc. How do I say it? Nobody just saw him. It's just basically all a blur to everybody. And Deku was like thinking in his mind, is this what power feels like? And they also say, well, technically, kid, you have a quirk, so basically it's kind of how do I say it? You're not powerless per se. Even if we're gone, you basically do have your own quirk. But Deku says, oh, well, yeah, but you guys are kind of awesome to use. And he's like, I don't mean like you guys are just some kind of playthings. I think of you guys as more than equals. And Toxin says, yes, we understand. We know what you mean, alright? But anyway, I think you should give it to that girl. And Jiro is there, and she puts her backpack in the locker. And she sees that her backpack was open. After that, she also noticed that the disc, or the freaking record, the disc is gone. And she's kind of freaking out. She's like, oh, no, I just bought this today, come on. And Deku walks up to her and says, here, you kind of dropped this, and I noticed that it's... And he says a band's name like
what kind of band do I like? Let's say Avenged Sevenfold. If you guys don't know it, just don't worry about it. Alright, it's just a rock band. And Jiro says, oh wow, you know about rock music? And she's kind of like one of the people who likes rock music, but the others don't care about, rock music in general. They care about just other music. But he's like, yes, I listen to rock music from time to time. And Deku and her talk for probably a couple of minutes, saying that they should hang out sometime. And they do. Over the couple of years, which I wanted them to hang out for quite a while. And they've hung out for probably till 7th grade. Because most called Jiro moves out to a different class or a different school. And he did talk to Ayama during his time with her in elementary. But in the 4th grade, she left to a different school as well. You guys will probably know what I'm doing with this. Like I said, I got 2 phones. Oh, never mind. Let's keep this child friendly. Well, I talked about somebody's arm being cut off. Never mind. Let's just say there's 2 love interests. I don't know whether to pick 1, 2, or both. I mean, oh jeez, I sound retarded. I mean, one or the other, or probably just have them both. But Deku just doesn't know what to do. He does live in his own house, or live in his own kind of like house. How do I say it? It's a small house, but has its own bedroom. It has like 2 bedrooms, a bathroom, freaking a kitchen, a living room, a basic house. And it was kind of like messed up. Nobody's wanting to live in there. So Deku patched it up. And he didn't want to live in the freaking foster home or the orphanage. That's what I was trying to say. And the orphanage. So he just, kind of remade the house. Took quite a while because, yeah, he did steal. But it wasn't technically him that stole it. It was more of Toxin and Venom doing most of the stealing. Which nobody would care about, like, some wood that hasn't been used for a long time. So, yeah. And them was called knowing how to make houses. Because let's just say they've been in, like, people in house... they've been in people who know how to make houses. And after they died and consumed them, their memories basically knew what to do. So after running off the memories and using Deku's body, they basically made the house. And the furnishings were just like stuff from like pawn shops, or the bed they took from a freaking cargo truck, or a truck that had like furniture. So yeah, they're like I said, they're kind of villainous. They're kind of good. And they're kind of in between. Because, yeah, it's kind of different for all of them. And this one's going to like cut off right there. So, now, Deku does make some friends. And they become, more of best friends. Which is basically Dark Shadow, Kaminari, and Mina and Kirishima. So, yeah. And I don't know who else to put. Let's just say Sero, because all 4 of them are just always like that. And they're sometimes hanging out with Deku in his house, because let's just say they had tougher childhood as well. And yeah, he met them by different like standards. Let's say that Mina needed help with a lot of stuff, and Deku not doing anything in life, or, you know, not having his own life. He just helped him out. Well, helped them out. And, well, helped her out. And basically, they become friends and they just hanged out. Kirishima, he helps him out with his bullying. What I mean by that, Kirishima was kind of picked on because his quirk was just not like theirs. Their quirks were like freaking flashier and freaking cooler. Kirishima's just hardening. They pick on him, and Deku just beats the crap out of them. And he explains to Kirishima why he shouldn't just give up, even though he has a basic quirk. It doesn't matter if you have a basic quirk or not. If you can save people, then that's good enough for him. And that should be good enough for Kirishima. So Kirishima isn't going to care anymore about what people think. He's going to, be his own man. And he's not going to actually have Red Riot, because technically Deku was first in talking to freaking Kirishima than when Red Riot was like on TV. So Kirishima is going to have spiky hair though, and going to have it's a basic combination of both spiky hair and down hair. How he meets Kaminari and Cero, well, let's just say they kind of been picked on, but they sometimes fought with them, and Deku just helped them out. He just fought with them, and they thanked them. So it's basically like that. Sorry if I'm not giving you guys some epic like reasons why, but sometimes the basic reasons are better enough the way it is. Alright? So anyway, Deku is friends with them, and they're mostly hanging out. And all of them aren't actually freaking, how do I say it, like caring about life. But it's like with those people, they're a group. And technically I want to put Dark Shadow in this. Well, no, let's just say Dark Shadow is in this one. Dark Shadow is with them, and Deku and Dark Shadow, or Fumigake, or Furimagake, I forgot what his name is, Dark Shadow. How they meet is just basic, it's just a basic random, conversation between them. And Deku also wanted to know about his quirk. He explains it's Dark Shadow. And he explains he has something like that. And two heads pop out, which is Venom and Toxin. And Dark Shadow is, Tokoyami. He is shocked and surprised, and kind of happy that he's not the only one who has a quirk like this. And he explains how his quirks work, and Deku explains how his quote, how to say it, freaking the two fingers and thing, air quotations, quirk is what it does. But he also explains that his quirk is cool, and they become kind of like besties. And yeah, pretty much it right there. So Deku has his own Deku squad, which Deku isn't going to always have a Deku squad, alright? It's just for a select few. So anyway, Deku meets them, and sometimes they all hang out with each other, sometimes 1-on-1, 2-on-2, 3-on-3, you get the picture. So, they one time thought, why don't they just, become their own kind of society of heroes? Or basically become their own, crime stoppers, or something like that. And Deku thought, why not just do it? They're thinking to themselves, what do you mean? And Deku says, yeah, why not just do it? It might be kind of fun. being our own kind of vigilantes. And Mina's like, yeah, we could do that. But what would we call ourselves? And Deku just says, let's not just call ourselves anything. You know? It doesn't really matter what we are. We can just stop random, what's called, crimes from happening. We know we can't beat villains all the time, or powerful villains, but we can try to at least keep some people safe. So they kind of make their own kind of costumes and all that. And by then, they become like vigilantes. I understand the story's kind of weird like that, but yeah. They become vigilantes and they kind of do their own thing. Deku being the leader. And Toxin and Venom help him out from time to time. But they don't use their quirks all the time, because if they did, then they would be found out easily. So they train for a bit. And this is during probably the 8th grade year. They're all training and doing all that stuff, and they're fighting villains and some basic like petty thefts, some holdups, some smaller holdups, not like on banks, but just in like a store. And they all do that, and yeah, that's basically their thing. They get money out of it, or they steal, or they take the money that the bad guys have. And Deku is having one of the memories of Peter Parker, Spider-Man. He thinks, wow, this is kind of cool to just have one of it, or to just have like a power like his. And Venom says, well, I can tell you right now, he beat me very, very much. Or no, he's not gonna say that. He says, that guy was always a pain in the ass, but I respect him due to the fact that he kind of never gave up, or never gave up. There's a time also that he kind of used a lot of sonic or vibrations, and it kind of screwed me over. But after having what's called perfect symbiosis with you, I technically can't feel vibrations affecting me as much, or fire, by that matter. But Toxin says, but I can shoot fire, and I can also create fire on my own. And Venom says, yeah, whatever. They all have a laugh. So, they all do their own thing like that. And their main color is kind of like black. Just because they're not like emo-ish, but they're mostly like dark kids with kind of bad pasts. And yeah, that's where I'm going to leave it off here. So, the next one is going to be like the one in... it's going to be mostly about the My Hero Academia. But I just wanted to give it off right there. And like I said, who is it going to be? It's going to be Ayama? Is it going to be Jiro? Or is it going to be both? It doesn't matter. But you can only pick those 3 options. And there's not going to be any other options. I hope you guys understand. And yeah, see you guys next time. Or I'm probably just going to do another what if right now. But anyway, bye.